G'day cunts. Rightio, let's brew some beer. This time around we're going to do it a little bit different. I'm just going to leave the camera set up here, do my thing over here, and over there at the table. And then whenever I sort of walk off camera or I'll sit down and do fuck all, or just hopefully if I can figure out how to do it on the editing and that, we'll just fucking hit fast forward and do it in times 10 or something like that. See how we go. So I'm going to do an all grain this time. So I've got the kettle out. For the grain bill and for the hops and everything, hopefully somewhere right about now. I'll put a screenshot up or something like that. Again, depends if I can figure out how to do the whole editing thing. But anyway, let's get on with it. So for this recipe, we're going to use 5.5 kgs of grain. So we needed about 23.25 litres of water in here. Now the thing with water, out of your tap, so if I've fully sanitised tap water. Oh, fuck yeah, daddy. The whole thing about tap water is that when it comes out of your tap, they obviously put chlorine in the water to try and, I don't know, make the water safer for drinking. We don't necessarily want that chlorine in the beer. So what I've done last night, about 8 o'clock last night, I filled this up to 25 litres of fully sanitised tap water. And I just left it. What that does, it'll slowly burn off the chlorine in that time that it's sitting there waiting. So it should get that chlorine out of the beer, or out of the water. When it comes to doing my sparge, I don't have a second heating element other than the fucking stove. But I'm not about to use the stove because it'll just take too fucking long. So for the 10 odd litres of sparging water that I use, that will still have chlorine in it. It is what it is. This is like hillbilly shit. But we'll just see how we go. I think I've got most things set up. My wife's a home hairdresser, so she's got the scales at the moment, so I'm going to have to duck off and go and get the scales so I can start measuring out our grain. Like I say, using 5.5 kgs of grain this time, 5 kgs of a pale malt, and then half kg of another one to try and bring up the head retention. I've found that the recipe that I'm doing, which is my own little one that I'm trying to work on, I don't get as much head in it as like. Don't get quite as much head, so I want to try and build up the head a little bit more and give a little bit more body to the beer. So I'm using half kg of, let's see what it is. Half kg of Carahel. You can say you say it, Carahel Weirman malt. Anyway, yeah. So I'll go and get my scales. Hopefully we'll figure out this times 10 fucking record thing or speed. But yeah, I'll go and do that. Fucking trip hazard. The other thing that I've noticed about doing YouTube videos is it's a lot more long format, like I said in my last video. So in being that you see me a lot more, and I'm not quite as spontaneous like I do with my TikTok videos, you'll hear my smokers / vapors cough that I've had for fucking years. You hear me muddle up my words and probably say the wrong thing a lot of times. Just bear with me. Right, so we'll take our scales. I'll try and do this on camera a little bit for you. Well, after all that fucking around, I was either reading that wrong or I'm a dumb cunt. Probably I'm a dumb cunt. But that reckons 5.5 kgs. We're just gonna fucking run with it, cunts. Ta-da! 5 kgs worth of grain. What a fuck shit that was. Right, now we need another half kg of this one, Carahel. Didn't bring me scissors. What a fucking idiot. Got me scissors. I don't have to sanitize any of this stuff because it's going to go in there, and eventually it'll boil, which will kill off any bad bacteria. So nothing needs to be sanitised yet. So cut open our packet. Half of our bag, this is a 1 kg bag, 500 grams. Throw that in there as well. Put a little clip on that, just squeeze that again. I reckon I know why my thing was fucking around, because I had it on the towel, which would have been giving me a false reading. The more you know, guns. Right. Take our grain. We'll put it back in that bucket and then we'll mill it into this bucket. You guys have seen how the mill works before, I'm pretty sure. If you haven't, I've got YouTube, TikTok videos on it. Just go and check one of those out. Not fucking around with the camera. Staying there, it's not. Essentially all it is 2 little rollers. One of them spins, the other one, they both spin, but one of them's powered by my drill. That spins, crushes up the grain. It doesn't crush it up, just cracks open the granules. So I pour some of it into there. Make sure my drill's on drill, not hammer, and just start fucking going. kg, it's like half 5.5 kgs. Fuck off plane. Disrespectful cunt. I'm trying to do a video. Look at that. Empty bucket, 2 guys. What I might try and do, we'll see if we can get the whole editing thing to work. I'll film this bit on my phone, and either I'll have a little, 2 screens, one of them here with this footage, and then the other one I'll film on my phone so you can see what's going on there. There's that smoke scuff. Right, my phone's connected to the fucking GoPro, so I'll press stop and stop the phone being connected. Probably a good spot to do this. Move back on there. Then we'll film on this. Hopefully it works. Hopefully that worked. So now we can get rid of our drill. Put this away over here somewhere. Clean up these trip hazards. Because I don't want to go fucking cunt up. Put this over here, out of the way. So now we've got a milled up grain. Beautiful. And what I'm also going to add in is probably 3 big handfuls of rice hulls. What these do is help for the wort or the unfermented beer to cycle through the grain. Yeah. One, 2, and 3. There's no fermentables in them, so it doesn't change the alcohol content or anything like that. It just allows the wort to drain a bit easier. We give this a bit of a mix up with the hands, just to mix those rice hulls through. Beautiful. That's now ready to go in there. Right, so my mashing temperature I want to be at 65 degrees. I've taken this, I'm taking this, the heat in this, I started recording, I started doing it before I started recording because it takes a little while. I'm taking it up to 75 degrees. That way when I then put the grain into that, the grain's on a temperature, so I'll actually drop the temperature. I'm hoping that if I set it for 75, that drop in temperature will be about 10 degrees and drop it down to 65. So that's the theory behind it anyway. We're at 58 degrees, so I've got about another 20 degrees. I'll put you guys on times 10 while I sit down, have a vape, and scroll TikTok. Pull my fucking pants up. So we've got about 5 degrees to go. I'm going to now start, I've got my tablet set up over there, you probably can just see it. You probably can see it really well actually. That's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Brewfather, which is an app on my tablet, which tells me, or gives me an indication of when I've got to do each step. So when it's been in the mash for long enough, when it's mashed in for long enough, when I've got to start adding hops during the boil, all sorts of shit. So I'll start getting that ready, then we'll put that grain. I've totally forgotten what that's fucking called, but we'll put our grain in anyway as well, and we should be getting pretty close. So that's ready. Now let's see how much water we've got in here. Now that it's had a bit of time. So we've got 25 litres. It's a bit more than what we want, so we're going to take some out. Probably not with that. Scoop it out slowly with this. A little bit more. That's about 23 and a half. About what we want. Pretty close anyway. Now there's a couple of ways you can do this next step. I could drop this straight in. What this thing does, it's a big fucking sphere, no, cylinder, fucking hell. And then it's got this little grate that goes on the bottom. What that does is I pour the grain into there, and that allows me to then take this out, leaving all the contents behind, and keeping the grain out, so the grain doesn't all fall in there and become fucking hard when we try draining it all out towards the end. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. Drop this in, sitting in the water, and then pour your grain into it, and then you've got to stir it all through. But what I've been doing lately is just taking this, pouring that straight into here, and then dropping that into it, which allows the water to soak up into it rather than trying to soak it down into the water, if that makes any sense. So put that there. Got a little rubber bun that goes on top. We'll just pour it in. So as you can see, the grain stays in there, doesn't fall out, but allows the water to drain out the bottom through the grate. 74 degrees, perfect, close enough anyway. So now we drop this down to the 65 degrees that we want it at. Now when it's 75, this has just gone to 75, so as I start pouring the stuff in, the grain in, it'll drop the temperature down, and we'll be sitting at about the 65 degrees that we want. Close enough. So just let that sit like that, it'll slowly drop down as all the grain comes up. Take off our little rubber bung, and that'll slowly drop down, the water will come up through the grain, then we will give it a little stir. It's been a couple of months since I've done one of these, so I could miss some bits, fuck some bits up, and just see what happens. Now standing with my cock in my hand, not knowing what to do. Back to TikTok. So I can see the water's starting to slowly come up. I can just start seeing the water now. I could push it down, but I just want to let it go down on its own. See what the temperature's at. It's come down to 72 degrees, so it'll keep coming down slowly. Fuck it, 10 o'clock, let's have a beer. Breakfast of champions. You might ask why the kegerator fridge has got beer in it. Well, cans of beer in it, not fucking kegs. Because I haven't got any fucking beers in kegs. And my normal beer fridge, which also dubs as my fermenter fridge. But you probably can't see it with that, but there's two fermenters in there going. Cheers. Fuck it, I'll bring the camera over and show you. See? Now we get our little mixing spoon, or our big mixing spoon, and just stir it through just to make sure it is all loose. Just making sure there's no dough balls in it, no big sticky clumps. Which there's not, which is fucking fantastic. So now I'll take a mixing spoon, and I just like sitting it here. Don't know why, it's just a nice little spot for it, sitting on the crate. Get our lid. Drop our lid on. Get our little circulating one. Oh, hold on, we forgot a piece. And where the little rubber bung was, we put this one on instead. What that does, as I start circulating it all, it'll start to rise a little bit. This piece hopefully stops any grain from dropping through there, down into there, and through into the pump. So that's what it's meant to do. So we drop that on top. Ta-da! You can't see that, but it is. It's there. Take this one, hang that on there, clamp it down, stick that in there, turn on our flow all the way on, hit the pump, as you can see, start circulating through. Eventually that water will change colour and it'll come out a yellow colour like what the beer is, what the wort is. Maybe just check that every so often. Yeah, now we'll go hit our timer on our tablet for the Brewfather app. We'll go and hit the timer for that, and that'll go for 60 minutes. So this is called our mash, and like I say, this goes for 60 minutes. Now, I was going to leave these on and just sit down for an hour and do fuck all, but the GoPro chews up the battery. So I'm actually going to press stop and then come back in an hour's time. Yeah, we'll go from there. See you in an hour. Something I did forget to do was put this on. Fucking numpty. So I'll quickly do that and then I'll show you. I'm just filming on my phone. And I'll show you how that goes. So it's in there now. You might be able to see it. There it is. So that just sits on there, and that actually stops the main body of grain being able to come up. And then anything that does come up, like those little floaty bits you can see in there, this then stops them from dropping down into that pipe and running through the pump and potentially fucking up the pump. And I recorded all of that upside down. Fucking idiot. Right, so that's been an hour. Our mash is now finished. I'll switch over to my phone because I don't want to move the camera, and I'll show you just how beautiful and clear, if I can figure out the editing, I'll show you how beautiful and clear this has come out. Well, first off we can fucking turn off the pump, turn off the flow, try and drain as much of it out of this pipe. Which never happens. Take our lid off. Oh, it smells fucking fantastic as well. Like I say, switch to the phone. you can see just how clear that's come up. Fucking beautiful. So now we can take this pipe off. Spill shit fucking everywhere. Just what we want. Discard this, we don't need that. Put it over there. And now what we're going to do, we're going to lift that mash tun, we're going to lift that out, and then we can sparge. So like I said earlier, this will contain the grain. Then when I sparge, pour another 10 litres over the top, it'll just suck everything out of it, all the stuff that we want. That water's not hot enough anymore. So like I said earlier, I don't have a second one of these, so I can't get my sparge water at the 75 odd degrees that I want it to be at. So all I do is just use fucking hot water out of the tap. It's not perfect, but it's done the trick so far. So let that keep draining. Put you guys on hopefully fast forward and go and grab my first 3.75 litres of sparging water. So my tap water comes out at about 53, 54 degrees. So we're about 20 degrees under what we want, but it'll do. It's still hot water. So we start pouring this over the top. By the end of this, we want there to be about just over 30 litres in here so we can start our boil. What we will do while this drains, we'll come down here and we're going to take the temperature of this up to 100 degrees. We'll start doing it now, just while we're doing it, at least it's getting it started so it doesn't take too long. So that's it. That'll start heating itself up to 100 degrees. We'll keep sparging over the top. We'll keep going. We'll just let that all drain through. When I get to a certain point, I'll take this off, and I've got a wok that I like to use. I then sit this on top of the wok, which will catch anything else, so we can pour that all back in there. Just clean up a little bit. I like to try and rinse everything off once I've used it and I know it's not going back in there, because we're converting starches into sugar. Anything that's been in there tends to get very sticky, so the earlier you can clean it off, the better. I can't only drink beers. I've got to go and pick my kids up from school in a couple of hours, so water it is. Water in between anyway. Get a couple more beers in yet. Now I'm a fair bit short. I'm only at about 27.5 litres. Now, no, I'm not going to drain another 2.5 litres out of that, so I'm just going to sparge some more water on. It is what it is, cunts. Fucking planes, fuck off, cunt. So a bit more. Just had to check that I'd actually press record. Thought I'd recorded, or hadn't recorded all that numpty. What we can start doing now is measuring out our hops. Now, I don't like my beer really bitter, especially that we're coming into summer, starting to come into summer. I don't want it really bitter beer. I want kind of a summery kind of ale, but with that hoppy flavour to it. So we got 10 grams of Cascade hops go in straight away, full 60 minutes of the boil. Then at 30 minutes, we put another 15 grams in. So I'll measure those out now. My wife's making fun of me. That's 10 grams. And we'll do the other one for 15. Put those in order. That one's first, that one's second. Alright, I can hear that most of that's all drained out, so we'll take this off. Set it there. We've hit our 30 litres, we'll wait for that to heat up, and anything else that drains out of that into that wok pan, I don't know if you can see it or whatever, there's a wok pan there with that grain on top of it. Anything that drains out, we'll just throw in there. So we're at 82 degrees at the moment. Take our mixing spoon, and what happens is you get lots of protein that starts coming away from it, and it starts to bubble up. So just give it a bit of a stir to try and keep the bubbles down so it doesn't all boil over. Hopefully you won't see what a boil over is, but you never know. Sit our spoon on there. They reckon that the spoon, if you start getting a boil over, the spoon will actually sort of stop it a little bit from boiling over. Seems to kind of work. We'll see. I guess I should tell you what I'm doing. So I'm going to put my hop spider in now. We're at about 82 degrees. Hop spider, not rock spider, hop spider. We're about 82 degrees. So I want this to get sanitized as well. So I'm going to drop that in there. As it heats up to 100 and as it starts getting up to that temperature, it'll sanitize this. It's nice and clean, but it'll sanitize this. Yeah. So what I'm also doing is, you might be able to see, you might not. I've lifted up one of these tabs that holds down the lid. I want this to stay, the top of this, the rim, to stay out. I don't want it all boiling over and into it. The whole point of this is to keep the hops contained inside, so you don't have it all rushing through all fucking about inside. Because when it comes time to drain the water out into the fermenter, it can clog up and just be a fucking pain in the ass. So I want all the hops to stay in here. I just want to get the essence out of them, the essence and the oil out of the hops. So I keep it all inside. So that's why I don't want it all boiling over and potentially coming out. So I use this little thing here to prop it out, sit it over it, just like that. I'll switch to my phone and show you how that's hooked up. And then I get a couple of little clips. And just clip them on, just to hold it in place. Give me my phone and I'll show you. Hopefully editing, the beauty of editing, hopefully that'll work, you'll see it. And just another little one, yesterday the 26th of October was my little brother's birthday. Sean, happy birthday brother. Fucking like in the comments for happy birthday for my bro. So I've got pretty much everything that I'm going to get out of that grain now and there. I might get, you know, a few more milk, but it's just something I'll clean that out and give that a wash up, because that gets really sticky if you leave it in there. So yeah, I'll just go and do that on the grass, empty it into a bag and give it a hose off while we wait for this to come up to the boil. Right, we're pretty much there. We're getting a rolling boil going now. Starting to foam up a shit ton. I'll grab my phone and just show you what it looks like from up here. And get some hops in. And if we weren't watching this, we'd get a boil over. But yeah, so you can see it's boiling there. So on our Brewfather app, we'll just hit go. That starts our 60-minute boil. Get our first lot of 10 grams of hops. Throw them in our hop spider. Not rock spider, hop spider. Get back on this so we don't get a fucking boil over going. We just have to monitor this for a little bit, but eventually it'll calm down and we won't have to worry about a boil over. But just for the time being, for while we're just hitting the boil and everything's fucking going, kicking up, but just monitor it, giving it a stir. Just because if it does boil over, Jesus, my sunnies are all fucking, if it does boil over, it's just a big sticky fucking mess. Kind of like your missus back afterwards, if you know, but if you know, you know. Give those hops a little bit of a fucking stir in there as well. and we should be pretty good. I'm now going to wait half an hour until the next lot of hops go in. Boil over's stopped, or the potential for a boil over is now stopped. I'm going to turn the thing off because I'm starting to run out of battery power, and we'll come back in half an hour when it's time for the next lot of hops. Righto, it's been half an hour. The GoPro's still charging, so we're back to the old trusty phone. Time for the next 15 grams of hops. In they go. Beautiful. And then we'll be back in another half an hour to stop this boil, start cooling it down, and add our last lot of hops. Right, so we've got about 5 minutes left of our boil. So now it's time to take our immersion chiller. We're going to take that, throw it in here so that it'll sanitise the outside of that. We take our little mixing spoon. See how hot this shit is. Too bad. We're ready to take this out. Now I need to remember as well the flow. So I've got two hoses hooked up to this. This one is where the water will come in and the water will come out this one and pisses off outside my gate. So the water's going to come in and it'll flow counterclockwise. So we need to remember that for later. So we take our hop spider, get a muslin bag because that hop spider's be fucking hot. So get a hold of that, lift it out, take our chiller, put that in there, then put our hop spider back in. That way we're going to put the next lot of hops are going to go in there, but we're also then be sanitising that immersion chiller while it sits in there boiling hot for the last 5, 6, 7 minutes, something like that. And I need to sanitise this bad boy as well, because we're going to be using that to put in that fermenter, and we'll dry hop it in about 4 or 5 days. But we still need to do a hop stand, and we'll put some more hops in for that as well. So yeah, we'll put yours on times 10 while we fuck about. Well, actually, no. So I got my hops ready for my hop stand. I did that off camera. There's 15 grams of Galaxy hops in there and 15 grams of Amarillo hops in there as well. So we'll get this down to 80 degrees once the boil's finished, and we'll throw these in and leave them in there for about half an hour. Oh, forgot. Got to throw this in too. This is my whirlpool arm. I'm going to throw that in there, and we've got to remember that it's going counterclockwise. So the water's coming in that way, which means when we put this in and we turn the flow on for this, we want it to be running clockwise, so it's going against the flow of the water that's cooling that down. So it'll just cool it a bit quicker. So if that's going that way, you want to go, oh wait, clockwise. Duh. So just throw that in, hook that up. Beautiful. So just got some sanitised water in here. I'm going to take my muslin bag, chuck it in, give it a splash. Same thing with the magnets that I'm going to put inside that bag, so I can magnetise it to the outside, so when I'm ready I can drop the hops in. Put these in sanitizer as well. And then this is the magnet that I use on the outside. It's not going in, so it doesn't need to be sanitised. Right, and our boil's done, because that went off a minute or so ago. So, come over here, press pause, drop our temperature. Probably actually going to do it at about 75. We'll go 70 degrees for a hop stand. So we press play there. That'll obviously stop for a while. And now I'm going to turn the water on, which will start pumping water through there to cool that down. We'll turn this pump on, which will start pushing the wort, unfermented beer. It's wort, this is obviously unfermented. That'll start circulating that, so it'll get our hop stand going. When it comes time to throw the hops in, because it's not ready yet. But we'll turn the water on now as well. So the water's on, the water's flowing in and flowing counterclockwise, so that way. And we've got our pump on, which is now circulating the water that's inside, circulating that way, so the two are flowing opposite each other, which will cool it down a little bit quicker. Once it gets down to our desired 70 degrees, then we'll throw the 30 grams of hops that we've got sitting there. We'll throw those in and let them sit in there for half an hour. And it's already down to 95 degrees, so it's going pretty quick. What I will also do is just pop my lid on top. It won't sit perfectly, but at least that's going to stop, hopefully, anything from getting in there. It's obviously not a perfect seal, but something's better than nothing. Just get another beer. Cheers. Number 3. Right, change my mind. I'm doing it at 75 degree hop stand. Now we're going to turn our water off, and then we will throw hops in. Take our lid off, throw them in. Now we'll hit go on our timer, leave that for half an hour. Rightio, that's been half an hour. Time to cool this fucker down. Take a lid off. Well, turn the press pause, which will turn the heat off. Lost my fucking chain of thought here. Yeah, turn that off, turn the water back on, so we'll start cooling down the water. So leave this pump on so that the water, so the flow is running that way, the opposite way towards the water is coming in, so it'll get more surface area and it'll cool down a bit quicker. Put our lid back on. So we don't get any nasties in there. And we want to get this down to about 25, 30 degrees, roughly, somewhere around about there. Shouldn't take too long. Fucking plain. In the meantime, we'll go and we'll get our yeast, throw our yeast into our sanitizer, and we'll let that sit for a little while. So that's the yeast we're going to use. Some American West Coast ale yeast. Fucking good stuff. So we'll throw that into our sanitizer. And when we're ready to open it, we can just cut it open. Now take our scissors as well. Throw them in the sanitizer as well. And we'll just wait for this to cool down. While we wait, step forward. Trying to decide now which fermenter I want to use. Do I want to use this one? Or do I want to use that one? Fuck it, we'll go with that one. So we won't pressure ferment this stuff. This one, sorry. We'll put it in this fermenter instead. So I've already cleaned this out. It's actually got a whole bunch of sanitizer sitting inside it. So what we're going to do is empty the sanitizer out. We're good to go. .62 degrees. It's getting there slowly. Well, pretty quickly actually, but yeah. While we wait, we'll wring out our muslin bag, get that ready to put the hops in it that we want. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to put the hops into it, and they're going to stay out of it for about 5 days. 4 to 5 days, probably 5 days. I'm going to put the hops in it, I'll put the magnets inside it as well, and then I'll magnetise it to the top of the lid. So I'll put the magnets inside the bag, and then I'll put a magnet on top of the lid. So then in the 5 days time, I can just grab that top magnet that's on the outside of the fermenter, pull it off, and that'll drop in. Beautiful. So we want, it was 30 and 30, it was 30 grams of Galaxy and 30 grams of Amarillo. So just measure those out on the scales. I think I've just got enough. I was actually short. It is what it is. I'm not going to the brew shop now, going to fuck. So we'll take those hops, just little hop pellets, put them in our bag. That was fucking lucky, nearly lost the whole lot. Grab our 2 magnets out. So I've got 2 magnets just to make it a bit stronger. Grab our 2 magnets. You can see that. Throw them in the bag. Tie the bag in a knot. Give it the old balloon knot. And there we go. So like I say, we will magnetise that to the top of the lid, or to the lid. And then when we're ready, we pull the magnet off, down the drop. What do we got temperature wise? 50 degrees. So we're not going to lose about another 20 degrees. I'm going to empty all the sanitizer out of this fermenter. Give it one last little splash around with one. Fuck it, that'll do. We're at 38 degrees. I'm happy with that. Are you happy with that? Too fucking bad, because you're watching. I'm doing it. So I've got to turn the water off. Take the lid off. Turn off our pump. Shut off the flow. Take this bad boy out. Put this one back on. First we'll take our little tube butt. Just give it a dunk with some sanitizer. Take a sanitizer as well. Just give that a little go over. You can never be too careful. I'd rather be that little bit more careful than not careful enough and fuck it up. After all this, to fuck it up right at the end, not what we want. We bash that back on there. So we put this one in because this is what we're going to use to transfer the wort, because it's unfermented beer. We're going to transfer from here into that fermenter. Take our lid off. Just sit her there. Turn our flow back on. Turn our pump on. Now all that will drain from in there into there. Beautiful. And the cool thing about using our hop spider, this one, is that all the hops that we've now put in here are actually mainly, the main majority of them are contained in here. So we're not going to have all the floaty bits end up in there. Depending on what beer style you're doing, you know, some beers call for that. People like that. Me, I don't. I don't like lots of floaty shit in my beer. Thus, I like using hop spider. Let that drain out. Fucking flies. it stay? Will it stay? No, it won't. Can't. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Look at that. I'm a magician. This foams up a lot. You might be able to see it. Oh, you won't be able to see it. Let's get the foam. So it foams up quite a lot when you're doing the transfer. That's all good. Nothing wrong with that. And we're hoping to get somewhere near that 23 litre mark. And there it is. Cut it off there before we get too much shit come through. So we got mainly just, because obviously there's a bit of stuff that goes through. We won't want most of it out. Beautiful. We're done with that. Now all that's left to do with that is fucking clean the thing. Anyway, so take our fermenter. Grab our yeast that's been sitting in the sanitizer all this time. And our scissors as well. Cut it off. Now this packet does say to put it in water and fuck around with it and whatever else. I'm not worried about it, I'm just going to pitch the cunt straight in there. Straight in she goes. My spoon's now been sitting outside, so I don't really want to use that to mix anything into it. So I'm not even going to worry about mixing anything in there. I'm just going to let this yeast sit on top of the bubbles and just leave it. The bubbles will die down, yeast will drop into the wort and just be on her way. Get our sanitizer. Just going to do a little once over on the bottom of this lid. Just because why not? I can. Then we get our hops from earlier. And now we try and find our magnet. Fuck off. Fucking fly. Dirty bastard. Sit that there because we don't want any flies in our fucking beer. Now I've got to piss fart around and try and find the magnet. So I found my magnet inside the bag. What a fuckery and that was. Get our other magnet. Not that side, it's that side. Take that. And look at that, magnetised on there. Now screw that down. Put a little bit more sanitised water in our bubbler. And now we're going to transfer that from out here inside, put a jacket around it, and we'll let that sit for 5 days, and then we'll pull that magnet off. If you've made it all the way to the end, which is where we are now, cheers, thank you very much, I appreciate the views. Give us a like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of shit. Shout out to fucking Uncle Andrew Bannister for the shirt that he sent me a while ago. Love it, bro, proud to represent your culture. Cheers, cunts.